What's happening, guys? Welcome to The Juice, the serious gambling podcast for the not so serious NFL gambler. On today's show, we're going to recap the back three quarters. We've already had 4 games, 16 games on the week in week 12. Already had 4. Great way to start the weekend of Thanksgiving. 3 games on Thursday, a game on Friday. Wasn't a very good game, but it was still NFL football. And then today, Saturday, as I record this, we got Ohio State and Michigan. And then tomorrow, full slate of NFL. If you didn't skip through the open, I like Ohio State. No real dog in the fight. I just like how that numbers move toward them. So there you go, little bonus for you. We're brought to you by the good folks at Bettle. I'll get that out of the way, and then we'll get into the show.
Oh, I see it every day online, every single day. Hey, that looks like a great fantasy team in an 8-team league. Oh, wish I could be in a league with you, right? Well, guess what? Now you can respond with, sure, let's play on Bettle. That's the beauty of this platform. This new Bettle platform standardizes all position scoring. So you just load your team and you challenge your friend, your colleague, Twitter troll, and you can browse other teams and issue challenges. Bettle is revolutionizing fantasy football. And with code Underworld, you get a $100 instant deposit match plus a free $10. So even if you deposit 20, you get 50. Think about that. So go to bettle.com. The code is Underworld. Bettle.com. The code is Underworld. Or click a link in the description. It's fun to be right.
There you go. That is our sponsor, Bettle. And really good if you play fantasy football, Dynasty fantasy football. That's what I do on my other podcast, the Dynasty Warzone. You can find that on Thursdays here on the PlayerProfiler YouTube and podcast channel. And then I want to give a shout out. Another Dynasty podcast is The Dynasty Life. That's with Theo Grimminger. And Theo kills it on this show, has had tremendous guests. He's going to have a not so tremendous guest at some point. He's invited me to come on. We're going to talk about Dynasty fantasy football. So if you like Dynasty as well as gambling on the NFL, great thing to check out with Theo and his illustrious group of guests. So I'm going to jump right into this. A lot to cover because we got a lot to cover. We'll start with Survivor, as we always do. Been crazy out there in Las Vegas. For those of you watching with me live on Twitter or YouTube, I'm going to add up I'm going to pull up the Survivor nuggets. So going into week 11, they had 609 live teams. 235 took the Commanders. So they went from 600 and change. And if you see on the graphic, you see a couple other teams. The Chargers cost a couple of people. But the big loser last week was the Commanders. We got lucky when I was still active. I made it through week 7 with my Survivor entry. We got lucky with the Commanders. They barely squeaked by the Josh Dobbs-led Arizona Cardinals, but the Commanders did everybody dirty. And I know why they took it. You know, they're playing Tommy DeVito, game they're supposed to win, but that did a lot of teams bad. So they went from 609 down to 371. And then you look at the contest. Remember, we talked about the week of Thanksgiving, you had to do 2 sets of picks. You had to pick one game from Thursday, Friday. This is why I hadn't been using the Cowboys all year. I wanted to save the Cowboys for this particular week. And then you have to pick again for this coming weekend's 12 games. Well, as you see, the Lions on Thursday did another 216 people dirty. The Cowboys got there, the Dolphins got there, the Packers got there, the Niners got there, the Jets cost 5 additional people, and the Seahawks cost them 1. So, you know, they're down to 100 in the teens, like 118 if I'm doing the math quickly correct in my head. So 118 people are now battling for $9 million. So these things will start to sell. This is a tweet from Survivor Sweat. I share this with you guys every week as well. And this tells you some of the numbers that I just, rattled off. They've got about 106 entries left. So each entry is worth 60 grand. Again, obviously everybody wants to win $9 million or whatever it is, but the goal is to just keep pushing this thing forward to where you make some money. So I think this kind of stuff's extremely fascinating. Who will win it? Who knows? If I had an entry, I would probably be selling it. I paid $1,000 for it. Would like to have money in my hand. So that is the Survivor for the week. Last week, the ones that I mentioned using, we had the Dolphins hosting the Raiders. That was a win. We had Dallas. If you felt like using Dallas, I did not recommend using Dallas because I was saving Dallas for this week. But that was a win. The Commanders hosting the Giants. We just heard that took over a third of the entries going into week 11. Then other ones that I liked last week that I thought took some balls, a little bit of guts. Steelers at the Browns. That would have been a loss. The Steelers came back and lost that game. Congratulations. I had the Lions hosting Chicago. They had to come back and win that game. The Jags hosting the Titans. That was an easy one. And then the Broncos, backdoor late into the game. Broncos managed to squeak by the Vikings. But another big week. Again, week 12 in Survivor, you have to pick from the past 3 games. I would have had the Cowboys out of those games. Going into this weekend, this is why I had been saving the Chiefs. I had been saving the Chiefs and the Cowboys for week 12 because I like the Chiefs at the Raiders. Now, the Raiders have been feisty. The Raiders have been doing really well. They won a couple of games against the Jets and the Giants, covered the spread against the Dolphins, and now they're at home to the Chiefs, a hated division rival. I just think the Chiefs get there. I think the Chiefs now more than ever have to win every single game because the Ravens continue to do real well. It's a great spot for the Chiefs, and they do so well in Las Vegas. The ones that I think would take some balls, some testicular fortitude this week. Number 1 would be the Patriots at the New York Giants. We're going to talk about this game later, but I like the Pats quite a bit in this game. Titans hosting Carolina. I will cover that as we get into the body of the show. But the reason why I like the Titans is the Titans have played 3 home games. Now think about that for a second. We're like week 12, going into week 12, and the Titans have only played at home 3 times. Crazy as that is to say, but when they've played in Nashville, in Tennessee, they are 3-0, and they're hosting Carolina. The Rams at the Cardinals. This is the fact that Sean McVay and Matt Stafford just own the Cardinals. And I know they've gotten Kyler Murray back and they've looked feisty. I think the Rams believe they're a playoff team. And you see Seattle, they just lost. They're 6-5. I think if the Cardinals win this one, they go to 5-6. And the NFC, teams like Green Bay, teams like the Rams, they could get back into the playoff mix very quickly. And then last week I got lucky to a degree, unlucky in other ways, with the Broncos hosting the Vikings. So that is our Survivor segment. Next year, guys, put it on your calendar, mark it down. You got to get into a Survivor contest. It's so much fun. There's a reason the Twitter handle Survivor Sweat is out there. It's because it's a sweat, but it's a fun kind of sweat. And if you can stay right for more than half the season, there's a good opportunity to make a little bit of a profit. So moving on, I'm going to move on to my Pick Ems, the Pick 'em contest that I've been doing with the guys over at pregame.com. I had a 5-0 week, and then it's been back-to-back rough weeks. And this is what makes the NFL so much fun to bet and so maddening to bet. Steelers. I had a bad line. When this game kicked off, the Steelers were actually laying 1.5 to the Browns. I had the Steelers plus 1.5. Didn't matter. Browns won. That was a loss. Another maddening game. Chargers at Green Bay. I should always know better than to put the Chargers on my card, but I do it anyway. You know, they have lost or won like every game this year by 3 points or less. If you go look at their game by game log of like what was their final outcome, like I said, they've won or lost just about every game by 3. No one blows them out. No, they don't blow out anybody. They managed to lose this game. Quentin Butterfingers Johnston literally dropped the game-winning touchdown. What are you going to do? You move on. The Rams, and this one right here, I got lucky to get the win, but it's the Rams against the Seahawks. The Rams do real well against the Seahawks. That's what they do. So I'm going to go to the Rams again this week. Broncos -2. This one right here, I didn't have any business being in this game. It was the 2-point conversion that they didn't get that cost me the cover. The Broncos won by 1. They scored the touchdown. They've got to go for the 2-pointer there. Had they got it, it's a different conversation. And then speaking of Butterfingers, good old MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He did his best Quentin Johnson impersonation and just let one go right through his hands. And a game that the Chiefs should have won easily. It shouldn't have come down to that play. Tough beat, but we will move on. My pick'ems for this week, I'm going back to the Steelers. Laying 1 against a backup quarterback. The difference, the Bengals don't have the Browns' level of defense. I also like the new OC bump. The Steelers fired Matt Canada this week, and I think you're going to see a rejuvenated offense with the Steelers. So I'm going to lay 1 with the Steelers. Next game, I'm going to take the Colts -2.5 at home to the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers aren't a very good football team. And I know I've heard people argue for the Buccaneers, talking about they went into Houston and played them. So I get it. They played Houston so close and this, that, and the other. The Colts can pass the ball. And it came out on Thursday, or maybe it was Friday, that the Buccaneers are going to be without Levante David. And their other Devin White is also on the questionable list. And they're down a safety as well. So they're banged up on defense. I think the Colts at home have been a problem for a lot of teams. They played the Jags tough at home. They got jobbed against Cleveland at home. The Colts at home, a different game. And the Colts feel like they're in the playoff mix. They're 5-5. I think the Colts get it done. I'm going to lay the 2.5. Patriots -3.5. Now, this one I would really wanted to get it 3. The contest line was 3.5. I'll just take the Patriots defense against the New York Giants. I know that Tommy DeVito looked like a real quarterback last week and had 3 touchdowns, and his mom's making chicken parm for all the guys, and he's going home and mom makes his bed. But this is Bill Belichick. The first time a young quarterback faces Bill Belichick is ugly. If you're playing in DFS or they're available, I would want the Patriots defense. I don't know that they're going to get all of their defensive guys back. I don't think it matters. I am taking the Patriots -3.5. I'll just count on a defensive score. Don't care if the offense does anything. I'm going Patriots -3.5. I'm going to go Browns +1.5. And this is not so much a bet on DTR. This is a bet on that defense. That defense coming into the season, I thought maybe San Francisco was the best defense in the league. I thought Philly would be in the conversation. Baltimore always in that mix. But this Browns defense and Myles Garrett right now, goodness gracious, just crushing people. And I was always a Sean Payton believer, and I liked what I thought he could do. I just don't know that Russ can dink and dunk his way down the field. So the best unit on the field is Cleveland's defense. The next best unit on the field, maybe Cleveland's offense. I don't trust Denver's offense at all. And their defense, while playing better, hasn't been great. So I don't love it on the road. I would love it in Cleveland, but I'm still going to take the Browns +1.5. And then my final game, Rams on the road, lane 1 at Arizona. Same thing. You can count on Sean McVay getting his ass kicked by the San Francisco 49ers, but you can count on him kicking the crap out of the Seahawks and the Cardinals every single time. I like this. I think the Rams, they're getting Kyron Williams back off of IR, who ran for 150 yards against the Cardinals last time. Cooper Kupp, they've already said Cooper Kupp's going to play. And again, why did the Rams go out and sign Carson Wentz? Why, are they, getting all their guys back? Cooper Kupp playing on a less than 100% ankle. It's because they believe they can go to the playoffs with this team. And if they believe it, I believe it. So those are my pick'ems. Real quick, I will throw them back out one more time. It was hard to find 5 this week, given that there's already been 4 games. That not being what it is, we're going to move on to the Steelers -1, Colts -1.5, the Patriots -3.5, the Browns +1.5, and the Rams +1. We're going to get to the portion of the program where I've been doing real well. We've been doing pretty good, especially lately with the Pick Ems. But if you want to play Pick Ems, a great place to do it is Underdog.
It has been 2 years since Josh Larkey paved the way for fantasy gamers to start expecting positive returns from Pick'em games, specifically Underdog Pick'ems. And how do you do it? Well, you look at the slate and you find a great shootout or a sneaky shootout. You also look for a shit show game. 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in one game. That's right. You can do it. You can do it. And you can 100x your payout on Underdog. Think about week 1. Jets-Bills was a shit show. Did we see the Aaron Rodgers injury coming? No, but we knew the Jets have a good defense. We knew the Bills have a good defense. Why not expect the worst? And the worst is what we got. So if you had gone Dalvin Cook less than, Garrett Wilson less than, Aaron Rodgers less than, Josh Allen less than, Gabriel Davis less than, boom, 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 you can go 6 for 6. Same thing in week 2. Oh, week 2. Oh, sneaky shootout there in Philadelphia. Minnesota's going to be in comeback mode, so we'll go Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson, more than. Madison, less than. But also, Swift, more than. Boom, 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 boom. That's how you do it with the Underdog Pick'ems, and you use promo code Underworld to get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You put in $100, Underdog matches that deposit up to $100 with promo code Underworld. Go start picking.
There you go. Our friends over at Underdog, promo code Underworld. All right, Pick'ems last week went 2-3 on official picks and 3-2 on my leans. That's the way that I've been doing it the last couple of weeks. That's the way that I'll keep going. 19-18 on the season. Last week started off super hot, even on the likes and the leans. In the 1 p.m. window last week, we had Gibbs over his receiving yards. That was a hit. We had Luke Musgrave over his receiving yards. That was a hit. We had Jerome Ford over his rushing yards, and that was a miss. And you really saw Pittsburgh's defense clamp down on him. And then the one that I threw in for fun, it was the only anytime touchdown prop that I had said all year. It was Tony Pollard getting his TD on against the Carolina Panthers. So started off hot, 3-1 in the first window. 4 o'clock, equally hot. Took George Kittle over 3.5. That hit. Took Debo under 4.5. That hit. So great, through the first, part of the day, we were 5-1 and cruising. Then we hit the iceberg, if you will. Had Javonte Williams over 16.5 receptions. He finished with, 16.5 receptions, 16.5 yards, and he had 16. So I missed that one by a half. Cortland Sutton over 4.5 receptions. He had 4. The hooks got me on both of those. And then Monday Night Football had DeAndre Swift over 2.5 receptions. That was a hit. He had 3. And then the one that was the biggest miss by the biggest margin was Isaiah Pacheco under 49.5 yards. I think he had 47 at the half, and he was cruising. So on the week, we went 2-3 and 3-2. So 5-5 on the week. Started off hot, cooled off late. Again, 19-18 on the season, but we've added the number of picks and props to the thing. So I'm going to pull it up on the YouTube here on the live stream, and I'm going to go to this week's official bets 1 p.m. window. 1 p.m. window. We are going to go Evan Ingram over 45.5 receptions. I keep doing this. Over 45.5 receiving yards. Lay 110. I don't. This is the number that I don't understand, so I'm always going to take the number I don't understand, because I think the casino, in this case, the sportsbook, MGM Grand, is wrong. I think this game is going to be a shootout. And if you look, the Houston Texans are one of the 5 worst defenses in the league in yards allowed to the tight end position. You add in what I think is going to be a shootout. He's the number, I'm going to say he's the number 1 option, but not on every single week. You'll see a Calvin Ridley week. You'll see a Christian Kirk week. But maybe he's not the number 1 option, but he's the most consistent option. I am going to take Evan Ingram over 45.5 receiving yards, lay 110. I also like his receptions prop. It was 4.5. That did not make the show. Colts game, Colts and Buccaneers. I'm going Jonathan Taylor as my second bet under 80.5 rushing yards. Don't know where this number comes from. Maybe it's the Levante David being out. Maybe it's Devin White being banged up. I don't know, but I know that the Buccaneers are really good against the rush and really bad against the pass. I had some Michael Pittman numbers in here, but that's my 1 p.m. lean. Excuse me, that's my 1 p.m. second bet. Jonathan Taylor under 80.5 leans, and I really like these leans in the 1 o'clock window. Ramondre Stevenson, if you listen to my Dynasty content, you know that I am not a big Ramondre Stevenson guy. I really like Ramondre Stevenson in this spot. I like what he did against the Colts in Germany. Had a week off to get healthy, to get right. This is another really strong lean for me. I like Ramondre quite a bit. And then this one right here, again, it's a lean. Chris Olave under 69.5 receiving yards. Atlanta's defense is good. A.J. Terrell's good. And now that Michael Thomas is out, it's just going to be more pressure on Chris Olave. He's going to be treated like a number one. The reason why this is a lean and not an official bet, it's because he's Chris Olave. You could easily get behind the defense for one and score a 40, 50 yarder. I will say that the Derek Carr playing, he's back from the concussion, that Derek Carr playing is another reason why I leaned under to Chris Olave's prop here. The chemistry's not there. Derek Carr doesn't throw the YOLO balls that Jameis Winston does. Bummed for Chris Olave. I think he's a great fantasy player. He's a great dynasty player, but just not been the perfect mix of situations for him with Derek Carr. So 1 p.m. window, I'm going to recap that right now. We're going Evan Ingram over his yardage prop. We're receiving yardage prop. We're going under Jonathan Taylor's rushing prop. We're going over Ramondre Stevens' rushing prop. And we're going under Chris Olave's receiving prop. Moving on, 4 o'clock window, Jerome Ford. Now, he got me last week. I am going right back to the Jerome Ford well. And this is I believe he's the best running back on the team. Nothing against Kareem Hunt or the other Jags on the Cleveland Browns roster. But it's just, this is a play against Denver's defense. I watched Ty Chandler and Alexander Madison just, for lack of a better term, just run wild. Just run. And what does Cleveland want to do? They're going to want to establish the run and play defense. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going back to the well. I'm going over 48.5 rushing yards for Jerome Ford. Another prop that I like, I'm going back to DeAndre Swift, over 2.5 receptions. I'll be honest. Friday, had I done the juice on Friday, and the reason why I'm doing this on Saturday is I had family things come up and had to take care of that. I already had Breece Hall over his receptions props. It's just coming along. And as the season gets longer, you see a stronger pattern of usage. That's what I see with DeAndre Swift. And I was surprised he only had 3 last week, especially as they were coming from behind. This is a great spot for him. Buffalo, not super good against the running back's receiving game. And I think this is going to be a sneaky shootout. Great game. Finally, a 4 o'clock game I'm looking forward to. But in the 4 o'clock window, we're going over Jerome Ford, 48.5 rush yards. And we're going over 2.5 receptions for DeAndre Swift in what should be the game of the day. Another good game because all the Chargers do is play close games. We're playing the Bears. Let's make it a close game. Hey, we're playing the Chiefs. Let's make it good team, bad team, doesn't matter. The Chargers are going to make it a close game. Ravens at the Chargers. Isaiah Likely over 29.5 receiving yards. This is a two-way prop for me. One, I love Lamar and how Lamar uses the tight end. And there's a reason why Mark Andrews has been so good and so dominant for fantasy over the last few years. But it's also the Chargers. The Chargers are in the bottom 5 in the league against the tight end position as it relates to yards allowed. I was actually surprised the number was this low. I was expecting 39.5 to be the number. I really like it. Rashad Bateman banged up with a foot. Odell Beckham Jr. banged up with a shoulder. And that ties me directly into my lean in the 8 o'clock window. Is Zay Flowers over 65.5 receiving yards. I just mentioned all of the things. I think he operates in the quadrant of the field, the area of the field where Lamar likes to work. The other wide receivers are banged up. If they're going to get passing yards in this offense, it's going to come through Zay Flowers. It's going to come through Isaiah Likely. And if you look right here on this screen, if you're watching live on the YouTube stream, you notice that Gus Edwards has a receiving yardage. Now, there are running backs out there this week. I didn't double check, but like Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, their receiving actual receptions prop is in that 4.5 range. Gus Edwards, that's his yardage. You can go Gus Edwards over 4.5 receiving yards. I mean, that's one check down where he just maybe is its only catch of the game. I thought that one was interesting. I didn't put that on there. We'll call that our second lean with Zay Flowers. And then Monday Night Football, it's all about DJ Moore. DJ Moore, his yardage prop has been around mid to high 50s for the last several weeks, including with Tyler Bagent and now with Justin Fields. Minnesota, not very good against the pass. And you'll see another DJ Moore prop here in just a second. This is a bank on DJ Moore taking he could take a bubble screen 50 yards. We've seen him do it a couple of times this year. Clearly the best option on the field and the option that Justin Fields looks for the most. So this one was pretty easy. I would have expected this to have been in the Zay Flowers range. To think that I can get DJ Moore at 58.5 in a better matchup than I can with Zay Flowers against the Chargers made this an easy pick for me. The one that I can't guarantee or don't feel like there's as much control over was DJ Moore over 4.5 receptions. I will say the reason why it's a lean is because Justin Fields does have a tendency to only have eyes for DJ Moore, a little bit for Cole Kmet, but DJ Moore has been a very usable wide receiver for fantasy, and I like his prop here. So the primetime games, we are going Isaiah Likely over his receiving yardage prop. We're going Zay Flowers over his receiving yardage prop. We're going DJ Moore over his receiving yards prop. And then we lean to DJ Moore over 4.5 receptions. So there you go. I just want to thank everybody for the support. Normally we do this show about 12 hours ago. Like I said, I had some family things come up, but I appreciate the support. We're going to be here through the playoffs and through the Super Bowl. Do have some guests lined up once we start getting into that Super Bowl range, make it a little bit more fun and interactive for you. But you guys go out, have a great weekend. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. As always, here at Player Profiler, we're very thankful for all of the supporters and the people who enjoy the content that we put out. Even on a holiday weekend, we are, in fact, working on the weekend. But we hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the football, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.